Nobody expected this. After weeks of questions about injuries, limited minutes, and whether Caitlin Clark could ever look like herself again, she walked onto the floor against Connecticut and delivered a performance that completely changed the conversation. By the end of the night, she wasn't just the best player on the court, she had helped shatter 15 different records, with 9 of them carrying her own name. And somehow, the most unbelievable record didn't even come until the final buzzer. The league thought it knew what a healthy Caitlin Clark looked like. It turns out nobody had seen anything yet. For weeks, every discussion around the Indiana Fever started the same way. Was Caitlin Clark actually healthy? Every game she missed gave critics another reason to wonder if injuries were beginning to slow down one of basketball's brightest stars. Fans watched every movement carefully. Every hard cut. Every drive into traffic. Every awkward landing. It wasn't just about winning games anymore. It was about whether Indiana's franchise player could finally put those physical setbacks behind her. Inside the Fever organization, though, the mood was completely different. While outsiders kept questioning her condition, teammates continued talking about rhythm, confidence, and patience. They weren't worried about whether Clark could play. They were simply waiting for the moment when everything clicked again. Even Clark sounded different before this game. Instead of giving cautious answers or avoiding expectations, she confidently admitted she finally felt like herself again. That wasn't just another athlete giving a routine interview. Looking back, it almost sounds like a warning. The biggest sign came before the opening tip. Indiana's coaching staff officially removed her minutes restriction. That's something teams don't do unless every doctor, trainer, and coach agrees the player is ready. No more easing her back. No more playing it safe. Clark had the green light, and Connecticut was about to find out exactly what that meant. From the opening possession, something felt different. Clark wasn't testing her body. She wasn't trying to settle into the game. She attacked immediately. The first three-pointer dropped, then another, then another. Before Connecticut could even adjust, she'd buried 5 straight shots from beyond the arc. Every possession looked easier than the last, and suddenly the Sun defense was scrambling for answers that simply didn't exist. They tried switching defenders. Nothing changed. They tried trapping her at the top of the key. She calmly found open teammates. They backed off to protect the paint, and she punished them from deep again. Every defensive adjustment seemed to make Indiana even more dangerous. Instead of slowing the Fever down, Connecticut found themselves chasing shadows while Clark dictated every possession. The scary part wasn't just the scoring. It was how effortless everything looked. Clark wasn't forcing shots or hunting highlights. She simply read the defense one possession at a time, making every decision look almost automatic. One trip she'd launch a deep 3. The next she'd thread a perfect pass through 2 defenders. Before halftime even arrived, Connecticut looked completely overwhelmed. Then came the numbers that truly put everything into perspective. Indiana reached 70 points before halftime, the highest first-half total in franchise history. That alone would have made headlines. But Clark had directly created half of those points through either her own scoring or her assists. Think about that for a second. One player was responsible for nearly everything happening offensively while making it look effortless. Even more impressive, the Fever never slowed down. Every quarter brought another wave of scoring. Every player seemed to benefit from the attention Clark demanded. Open shooters kept finding clean looks. Easy layups appeared because defenders couldn't leave Clark alone. What started as one player's hot shooting quickly became one of the greatest offensive performances the franchise had ever produced. By the time halftime ended, the game was already slipping away from Connecticut. But as incredible as the team performance looked, it was only setting the stage for something even bigger. Because while Indiana was busy rewriting franchise history, Caitlin Clark was quietly putting together a stat line that no player in WNBA history had ever managed before. Something felt different the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the floor. Just days earlier, the conversation wasn't about records or MVP races. It was about one question that refused to go away. Was she actually healthy? After missing time with injuries and playing through obvious discomfort, critics wondered if the explosive version of Clark everyone expected would ever return. Fans watched every game holding their breath, waiting to see if another awkward landing or hard collision would send her back to TT.